I wanted to come on and talk about how easy it is to love the people we like. It's easy to love our neighbors when they're good neighbors, as we would say. Well, what is good? What is your definition of good? So they're good. They haven't violated us. They're not crossing property lines, and they're not being mean and angry, and they're not throwing trash over in your yard and putting trash in your trash cans or taking them, or walking across your yard, or, making loud noise or playing loud music and having just multiple parties. Then it's easy to love our neighbors. And if you live in an apartment or condominium or townhome and they're not making noise above you or on the side of you, you know, they're not, picking your flowers that you planted or stealing your fruit or veggies out of your garden, picking fruit off your tree, and the fence isn't, broken, or they haven't, or something like that, then it's easy to love your neighbors. But why is it so difficult to love our enemies? Why is that so difficult when God calls us to not only love our neighbors, but he calls us to love our enemies and to pray for them? And so, with that being said, I invite you not only to love your neighbors and people that you like and that look like you and share the same values and views, but to love your enemies, the ones that disagree with you, the ones that don't share your values, the ones that don't go along with everything you say, the ones that can be difficult, as we say, or they're just not having it. I invite you to love your enemy and to call a truce and to pray for your enemy and to ask God to forgive you and to heal your heart from your brokenness and your unbelief. Because as individuals, people throw stones at others. Sometimes we have to examine our own hearts and look at ourselves and see why we're responding the way we are, and to see why we're not responding in love, but we're responding in hate. To see why we're not able to forgive and let it go. To see why we can't see a more excellent way to handle situations or to handle conflict. So I invite you to examine your heart and to see where you have unbelief and where you don't believe that God's going to work it out in his time. And that if you just allow your enemy to do what they do, and you pray for them, and you think on good thoughts on them, and you give it and turn it over to Jesus, and you keep living your life and keep serving God, keep loving, keep serving, keep walking in integrity, keep doing those things, God will handle your enemy. He will make your enemy your footstool. Don't participate in the evilness and backbiting. It only weighs you down. It drains you. It fatigues you. It can make you ill and carrying stress that you don't need. Don't let your enemy steal your joy. Don't let them take control of your life. Don't spend another minute or energy worrying on your enemy. God will take care of them. God will handle your enemy. You got to release, breathe and release all of that toxicity so that you can receive wholesomeness and you can breathe the way God has called you to breathe in the breath and breathe out. I ask God to breathe down upon each and every one of you. And if you're in conflict, I ask God to help you manage that conflict and to remove it out of your way in your hands Just give it to Jesus. Turn it over to him. He will work it out. But that thing about having a problem with loving your enemies. But if you love God like you say you do, you won't have a problem loving your enemies. Yeah, people gonna say it's harder, it's easier said than done. And it's harder to do it and easier to say it. People may say that. But if you give it to God and you think on good things and the fruit of the spirits and you operate in love and peace and mercy and you pray for your enemy, then it will be easy. Because all you got to do is ask God and he'll work it out for you. He'll do it over and over and over and over and over and over. And he'll keep doing it over and over. I don't have enough tongues because he'll keep doing it over and over and over and over. He'll keep doing it. Just turn it over to Jesus. This is the season. This is the season. This is the season. And we don't want to operate in hate and anger and violence and harsh words. This season should be about love, should be about celebration, should be about honoring the birth of Jesus Christ. This season, let your healing begin in this moment and in this season. Allow God to move mountains. Allow God to help you climb them. That hill that you've been trying to get up. Whatever you've been trying to do, and those doors have not opened for you, turn it over to Jesus. Give it to him. Don't block your blessings and stand in the way of the changes that can happen through prayer. God is an awesome God, and he's a mighty God, and he's waiting to hear from you. He's waiting to intercede on your behalf. You know, God loves everybody. Every one of us he loves, including your enemies. This might come as a surprise to you, but God loves your enemies. And as soon as we get it and understand and grasp that concept that God loves our enemies, if you have enemies, soon as you grasp that concept that God loves your enemies, then you will let it go and you'll be able to move on and move forward and not entertain all of that evil and that mean and hateful spirit. You will not entertain that, because once you grasp the concept and accept that God loves your enemies, because he loves all of us and he loves the enemies too. So as soon as you learn that, because you're no better than the enemy if you're fighting and creating strife and carrying around hate and a contrite spirit, you're no better than the enemy that you're pointing the finger at and throwing stones. So guess what? God loves your enemy too. Just like he loves you. God bless you all in this season. Just looking for peace, looking for restoration, that hope, that restoration to restore families. Because there's a lot of people losing loved ones. And life is just too short for anger and hate and ugly spirits and contrite hearts and contrite spirits. Life is too short for that. Peace out, everyone. God bless.